We are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. We heard Devahuti in great humbleness as befitting of pure devotee or sincere aspirant. She inquired because she remembered that Brahma told her that your son is not ordinary, he is Supreme Lord himself. So when she remembered this, then she prayed in this way. We heard already, but to remind, Devahuti said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses, for because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance. Your Lordship is my only means of getting out of this darkest region of ignorance, because you are my transcendental eye, which, by your mercy only, I have attained after many, many births. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin and Supreme Lord of all living entities. You have arisen to disseminate the rays of the sun in order to dissipate the darkness of the ignorance of the universe. Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations. Devahuti continued, I have taken shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person of whom to take shelter. You are the axe which can cut the tree of material existence. I therefore offer my obeisances unto you, who are the greatest of all transcendentalists, and I inquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman and between spirit and matter, Prakriti and Purusha. Maitreya said, after hearing of his mother's uncontaminated desire for transcendental realization, the Lord thanked her within himself for her questions, and thus, his face smiling, he explained the path of the transcendentalists who are interested in self-realization. We can get this only from Supreme Lord when acting as Guru, or his personal as a Guru, the transcendental knowledge. Shri Bhagavan Uvach. Yoga Adhyatmikah Pungsham Mato Nishreyasaya me Atyanto Paratiryatra Dukhasya cha Sukhasya cha. The Personality of Godhead answered, the yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity and which causes detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system. There are many yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, hatha yoga, but this is highest yoga because it relates to relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma, in Supreme Lord, in devotion, transcendental, eternal devotion. And this can release you from this material world, both happiness, material happiness and distress, totally above this. Tam imam te pravakshami yam avocham puranaghe Rishinam Shrotu Kamanam Yogam Sarvanga Naipunam. O most pious Mother, I shall now explain unto you the ancient yoga system, which I explained formerly to the great sages. It is serviceable and practical in every way. Anaghe means pious. This verse our Gurudev used to repeat all the time. Chetah kalvasya bandaya muktaye chatmanomatam guneshu saktam bandaya ratam va pungshi muktaye. The stage in which the consciousness of the living entity is attracted by the three modes of material nature is called conditional life. But when that same consciousness is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is situated in the consciousness of liberation. Mother Devahuti prayed how I can be liberated from this ignorance. Then our Gurudev, he used to explain this verse. Chetah means consciousness or mind. Mind is the cause of bondage. Mind is the cause of emancipation. Certainly. When mind means consciousness, the Atma is conscious. So that mind of Atma is consciousness when mind is attached to Triguna, Guneshu Saktam, Bandaya, that is cause of bondage. But when attached to Pungshi, means Bhagavan, Nirguna, then it is liberated. Here Sai Maharaj is telling, when the same Chetah or consciousness is transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or when one becomes Krishna conscious, he is on the path of liberation. Then, here, it will come. Our Gurudev told that inwardly, Mother Devahuti said, what is Triguna? We don't understand this. It is something abstract. Then Kapil Bhagavan said Triguna means by Rajoguna creation takes place, by Tamoguna it is destroyed, and by Satyaguna maintained. So this body has got birth, it will remain for some time, and it will perish. So in concrete form, Triguna means this body. When we are attached to this body, we are in bondage and attachment to others related to this body. And when we are attached to Nirguna, then we are liberated. Then she asks, what is Nirguna? Nirguna means Supreme Lord Bhagavan. Beyond these three gunas, yes. Aham mama bhimanote kama lobadibhir malay vitam yada manah shuddham adukam asukam samam. When one is completely cleansed of the impurities of lust and greed, produced from the false identification of the body as I, I am this body. And bodily possessions as mine. One's mind becomes purified when one is released from this, completely cleansed of impurities of lust and greed produced by misconception of self and this false proprietorship, I and mine. When we are under the influence of this false ego, then from that false ego these desires are coming, lust, anger. You remember in Bhajan Rahasya it is explained 4 types of anartha: Sarup Brahm, Asa Trishna, Hrid Daurbalya and Aparat. Sarup Brahm means mistake about self. Sarup, who am I? Mistake. I think I'm this body. That is the original cause of all anarthas. And it happens by aversion to Krishna. Then from that come others. Asa Trishna, desires for non-eternal things, lust, greed, all. And weakness of heart. There are many kinds of weakness of heart. In Bhajan Rahasya explained, like I will die, or this fear of I will die, and also these other desires for name and fame. Or Arjuna, he said, I will not fight. These are all weaknesses of heart. I will not do my duty. And aparat, we commit offense to Vishnu and Vaishnava by wrong attitude. But original is this false identification of the body as I and bodily possession as mind. So one has to be cleansed of this false ego. One's mind becomes purified. In that pure state, he transcends the stage of so-called material happiness and distress. Sai Maharaj here used the word so-called material happiness because that is not actually happiness. It does not satisfy the self. You are not fulfilled. It is temporary. And also it is just a relief from the suffering of pain of unfulfilled desires. Like I carry some burden here, and then I put off, then I get some relief, but I don't get positive happiness. So we have so many desires and we are suffering because of unfulfilled desires. Then when we fulfill those desires, we get relief from that pain, but no positive happiness is gotten. And also it is temporary. That is why it is so-called happiness. It is not real happiness. Positive happiness, real happiness is only in the service of Krishna. Tada Purusha Atmanam Kevalam Prakriteh Param Nirantaram Swayam Jyotir Animanam Akhanditam. At that time, the soul can see himself to be transcendental to material existence and always self-effulgent, never fragmented, although very minute in size. Animanam, infinitesimal, that is anima. Jiva is very small, but that is not material smallness. It is transcendental smallness in comparison with Supreme Lord. But you cannot measure that soul by any material measurement. That description also it is given, like if you cut the hair steep to so many pieces and then again that piece, that is only to give us idea that is very small, but is not actual that size, because Atma is transcendental. You cannot measure by any material measurement. That is conceptual meditation. Jnana vairagya yuktena bhakti yuktena chatmana paripashyatyudasinam prakritim cha hatau jasam. In that position of self-realization, by practice of knowledge and renunciation in devotional service, one sees everything in the right perspective. He becomes indifferent to material existence, and the material influence acts less powerfully upon him. Here, Simon is giving a nice example. As the contamination of the germs of a particular disease can influence a weaker person, similarly, the influence of material nature or illusory energy can act on the weaker or conditioned soul, but not on the liberated soul. Self-realization is the position of the liberated state. Na yujya manaya bhaktya bhagavatya kilatmani sadrishosti shivah pantha yoginam brahma siddhaye. Perfection in self-realization cannot be attained by any kind of yogi unless he engages in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for that is the only auspicious path. Bhaktya Bhagavati Akilatmani. The knowledge and renunciation are never perfect unless joined by devotional service, is explicitly explained here. Yes, now this verse comes. Our Gurudev used to say that Mother Devahuti, she said to Bhagavan Kapil, you said that when we are attached to this body and bodily relations, that is the cause of firm attachment or bondage. But what we can do, we speak with them, we exchange thoughts with others, then we become attached. And you said that being attached to Supreme Lord, Nirguna, we will be liberated, but we are not having exchange of thoughts with him. He's only standing there in the form of deity, he's not speaking. So how we can get attachment to him? Then Kapil Bhagavan said this verse. This is the solution for this difficulty. Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo vidu sa eva sadhu shukrito moksha dvaram apavritam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. We are not able to see Nirguna Bhagavan, or when he is in the form of deity in this world, we cannot speak with him. No exchange of thoughts. So how we can become attached? Then Kapil Bhagavan said, you have to attach yourself to sadhu. Because sadhu, he's speaking, he's moving, he's doing all these things. So by associating with him, you get attachment, and that attachment will open the door to liberation, or means to attain the Supreme Lord. Because now in this stage we are unqualified to have direct transcendental realization of Krishna and all. But Krishna appears in this world in the form of deity, and also as his grace incarnate form as a sadhu. So if you associate with sadhu, speak with him, feed him in those 6 ways we have to give and take what is required, speak with him and hear from him, and feed him and take prasad from him, that will give you a realization of Supreme Lord. Opens the door of liberation. So again, every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But that same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. Here in commentary, here it is clearly stated that attachment for one thing is the cause of bondage in conditioned life, and the same attachment, when applied to something else, opens the door of liberation. Attachment cannot be killed. It has simply to be transferred. Attachment for material things is called material consciousness, and attachment for Krishna or his devotee is called Krishna consciousness. Consciousness, therefore, is the platform of attachment. It is clearly stated here that when we simply purify the consciousness from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness, we attain liberation. Despite the statement that one should give up attachment, desirelessness is not possible for a living entity. Like Buddhists, they like to attain that desirelessness. But that is not possible, because they realize that having desires and attachments produces suffering, because time takes everything away. So they want to be released from that, but that is not possible for Jiva, because Jiva is always, yes, here further Simon, a living entity by constitution has the propensity to be attached to something. We see that if someone has no object of attachment, if he has no children, then he transfers his attachment to cats and dogs. This indicates that the propensity for attachment cannot be stopped. It must be utilized for the best purpose. Our attachment for material things perpetuates our conditional state, but the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee, here specifically in this verse, it is said that you should attach yourself to realized soul devotee, because that is more practical for us in our present level of realization, where we cannot directly speak with Krishna. Or his devotee is the source of liberation. Yes, now further Simon was sharing. Here it is recommended that attachment should be transferred to the self-realized devotees, the sadhus. And who is a sadhu? A sadhu is not just an ordinary man with a saffron robe or long beard. A sadhu is described in Bhagavad Gita as one who unflinchingly engages in devotional service. So further it will, yes, now he will explain who is a sadhu. So here also, attachment in the commentary, attachment to a devotee is attachment to the service of the Lord. Because if one associates with a sadhu, the result will be that the sadhu will teach him how to become a devotee. These are the gifts of a sadhu. If we want to associate with a sadhu, we cannot expect him to give us instructions on how to improve our material condition, but he will give us instructions on how to cut the knot of the contamination of material attraction and how to elevate ourselves in devotional service. This is the result of associating with a sadhu. Kapila Muni first of all instructs that the path of liberation begins with such association. Like we sing that song, Shuddha Bhakata Charanareno Bhajana Yanukul. Bhakata Seva Paramasiddhi Prema Latikara Mul. It is the root of prema, is service to devotees and the dust from the lotus feet of devotees. So here Kapil Bhagavan is saying, this you have to transfer your attachment from material things to sadhu. Then that sadhu will transfer your activities to the service of Krishna. Now, then Mother Devahuti asked, who is a sadhu? So Kapil Bhagavan will first give concomitant qualities. One is original quality, and when that original quality is present, then these other concomitant qualities will also be present. So first he's telling this concomitant. They go by. Titikshava karunikah suhridah sarva dehinam. Ajata shatrava shantah sadhava sadhu bhushana. The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Our Gurudev used to explain all these qualities very nicely. Titikshava is always tolerant, like tree. And we have example, Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, Ambarish, they were oppressed, but they tolerated everything, and they wanted the benefit of that person who is doing harm to them. Karunikah, they are always merciful to all living entities. They want their welfare because they see they belong to their Supreme Lord Master. He loves them and he does not like to see them suffering. So they try to remove that suffering of conditioned souls by turning them to the service of Krishna. That is real karuna, compassion. Suhriya Sarvadehna. They are friendly to all living entities. They are not seeing, like Prahlad Maharaj said, to his father and to also his teachers. You give up this demoniac mentality of seeing someone is my enemy, someone is my friend, based on bodily identification. I am Chinese, so I have to hate Americans, or I am Iranis, I have to hate Israelis. So that is based on bodily identity. But when one is realized soul, he does not see based on bodily, he sees all are related to Krishna. We are all interrelated, same family. But that vision is not there. We see my country and your country, my family, your family, and want to benefit. But sadhu, he sees all as related to him, in relation to Krishna, so he's friendly to all. He cannot inflict harm to anyone, or exploit anyone, or disrespect anyone, oppress anyone. Impossible. Ajata Shatrava, our Gurudev explained, has no enemies, means he sees no one as his enemy. Even if someone does harm to him, he thinks it is due to my own past misdeeds I'm getting this result. He's only instrumental. He's not my enemy. He's not hostile to me. He's not my enemy. He's not the cause of my suffering. I am the cause of my suffering because of my previous bad deeds. So now I'm getting that by Krishna's will through this instrument. So real devotee, he cannot have any enmity towards anyone or any hostile mentality towards anyone. That is very rare to find such sadhu who is not blaming and has these qualities. And Shanta, he is always peaceful because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, Otoeb Shanta, Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakali Ashanta. Krishna Bhakta is Nishkama, means has no lust, no selfish desire. He has desire, what? Krishna Bhakti, that to satisfy Krishna, that is his desire. But he has Nishkama, means no this selfish desire. That is why he is peaceful all the time. But Bhukti Mukti Siddhikami Sakali Ashanta, those who want material enjoyment, Bhukti, those who want Mukti, liberation, and those who want Siddhi, mystic powers, they are all restless. And they become angry also, because their desire is not fulfilled, or they are not fulfilled even if their desire is fulfilled. And that is all separate desire. For material enjoyment or for liberation, also separate desire, selfish desire, or for mystic power. There is no desire to serve Krishna. So they are always restless. But pure devotee has no selfish desires, only desire to serve Krishna. That is why he is always peaceful, like Prahlad. So these are, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, sadhava, following saintly conduct. According to scriptures, he is abiding, and all his characteristics are sublime, sadhu bhushana. These are all the ornaments of sadhu. One second. Now original qualities coming of sadhu. Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridham. Mat krite tyakta karmanas tyakta svajana bandhava. Such a sadhu engages in staunch devotional service to the Lord without deviation. For the sake of the Lord, he renounces all other connections, such as family relationships and friendly acquaintances within the world. Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktin kurvanti ye dridham. One exclusive, one-pointed, ananya, exclusive one-pointed devotion and very firm dridham he has. That is the original quality of sadhu. Without this quality, he cannot be sadhu. Once in Kumbh Mela, maybe in Haridwar or some North India, then there was one pandal and so many sannyasis sitting there inside, and there was a title, Sadhu Samaj, assembly or society of sadhus, Sadhu Samaj. So when they saw our Parangurudev is also sannyasi, they invited him in to be also present in Sadhu Samaj. Then when they gave him to speak to Parangurudev, he said, I saw this title Sadhu Samaj, but it is not correct. It should be Tyagi Samaj, not Sadhu Samaj. Because they were all Mayavadi sannyasis. They are practicing renunciation. So they can be called as Tyagis, renunciates, not as sadhus. Because sadhu's original quality is this. Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktin kurvanti jedridam. Or sadhu is one who is after sad vastu, means eternal truth, that is supreme Lord. So it is not that someone will just give up family life and take some red cloth and wander here and there and begging, that he automatically becomes sadhu. Generally in India they think like this. One who renounced house, he is the sadhu. But Parangurudev said no. According to scripture, sadhu means only devotee. If that devotion is not there to Supreme Lord, he is not to be called as a sadhu. He may be called as a renunciate, not as a sadhu. Also, Krishna says in Gita, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya. If one is one-pointedly engaged in my service, then you consider him as a sadhu. And for the sake of Krishna service, he gives up here family relationship and friendly acquaintance. Tyakta swaja, tyakta matkrite. Our Gurudev gave emphasis on this, matkrite, for my sake, for my service. Because you will see in India, someone is in household life, then that becomes very difficult to maintain family. Then he gives up and goes here and there like a sadhu and begging. By that he's committing sin, because giving up his duty. Because he did not renounce for the sake of Krishna's service, but he renounced because it became difficult. Target was not service of Krishna, but sadhu, devotee, for the service of Krishna he will renounce, either like he will become sannyasi if he is called for that type of service, or like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explained in Sharanagati songs, his vision will change. So he will not see his family members as family members like conditioned soul sees. I am mother to this, I am brother to this, these are my sons, these are my daughters. No, he does not see like that. He sees all are servants of Krishna. I am also servants of Krishna, and everything belongs to Krishna. All living entities he sees in that way. That is also sadhu. Sadhu may be in household life or sadhu may be in ascetic life. Our Gurudev told that it is stated in Shastra that both is possible. It is not that sadhu or devotee can only be one who renounced family. No, that is not according to Shastra. Examples is Ambarish Maharaj. Clear example. He is a sadhu, pure devotee, but in household life. But his vision is different. So what is meant here? Because sadhu has exclusive one-pointed devotion to Krishna, for his sake, he gives up all karma, means activities which are done from false ego, and all relations which are understood from false ego. This is my mother, this is my this. It's all not true. That is all temporary and not true. He sees all living entities as related to Krishna and himself also. So this is the original quality of sadhu. If one has this original quality, then other qualities are accompanying. That is concomitant. Concomitant word means accompanying. Like you see Haridas Thakur, he has one-pointed exclusive devotion to Krishna. That is why he is more tolerant than a tree, and more humbler than a blade of grass, and giving due respect to all and compassionate to all, and giving due respect to all. They were trying to kill him, but he prayed for their welfare, because that quality is their karuna, and he's not seeing anyone as enemy, ajata shatrava, and he's always peaceful, never disturbed. All this, or in Prahlad we can see these qualities. One cannot imitate these qualities if one does not have original quality. And compassion for all living entities. And now further symptoms are there. Mat ashraya katha mrishtah shrinvanti katayanti cha tapanti vividastapa naitan madgata chetasaha. Engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. So here, Kapil Bhagavan said to Mother Devahuti, you have to associate with sadhu. And he is explaining what is the meaning of sadhu. He has one-pointed devotion to Krishna, and symptom is this: he is always speaking of Krishna and hearing about Krishna. That is why Parangurudev told to all those Mayavadi sannyasis there, that title is not correct there. You can put Tyagi Samaj, not Sadhu Samaj. And he explained to all of them there, in front of them, what is Sadhu. Sadhu is one who is pursuing Sadvastu, eternal truth. Eternal truth is Supreme Lord. Brahmati Paramatmati Bhagavaniti Shabdate. Advaya Gyan Tattva, so only devotee can be said as sadhu, and it is not that sadhu is possible only in renounced life. No. Sadhu can be in household life or renounced in the forest. So there always, our Gurudev told, like fish cannot remain outside of water. Cannot live. Impossible for a fish. Like that, one who is a real sadhu, has exclusive one-pointed devotion to Krishna, he cannot remain alive without speaking about Krishna and hearing about Krishna, remembering Krishna. It is impossible. That is his life. All the time he's engaged in that, naturally. And because of that, his mind, our Gurudev explained, his mind is fully absorbed in Krishna, means he's on transcendental platform, he does not feel any material miseries of this body or mind. Like if you are in aeroplane and on the ground there is earthquake, you will not feel it. You are above that. Like that, realized souls, they are above material conditioning, so they don't feel any pain. I got this experience when I saw one devotee, sannyasi, god brother of Gurudev. He got some like nervous, some disease, maybe Alzheimer or something. So outwardly looked like he's suffering. Then I complained to Krishna, why? He's your devotee, why he has to suffer like this? It is not correct. Then when I bow down to him after Arati, while bowing down to him, I lost all my physical suffering and also mental suffering, which I was not even aware of that I had. And I got transcendental bliss in my heart, in my soul. And then Krishna told, means he made me, know, you think now, you are bowing down to this Maharaj and you are losing all your suffering, which you were not even aware of. How you can think he is suffering if by bowing down to him you are losing all suffering? How you think he is suffering? He is not suffering. That is our wrong perception, outward vision, external vision. We don't see that sadhus, they are performing pastime of illness to give us scope of service, but that they are not suffering pain. Here, who is telling? Bhagavan. The words of Bhagavan are true. He knows everything. We can also know when we get realization. He's telling, tapanti vividas tapa, naitan madgata chetasa. They are not having any suffering. Tapanti vividas tapa, no tapa. We, conditioned souls, we have three tapa. Threefold miseries, body, mind, other living entities, and natural catastrophe. But they are not. Why? Mat gata chetasa. Their consciousness is to me, with me, absorbed in me, so they cannot suffer. That is only lila. Yes. Sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. And thus he does not like to talk about anything but the activities of the Lord. Maharaj Ambarish did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees. Since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of the material miseries. Ordinary conditioned souls, being forgetful of the activities of the Lord, are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. On the other hand, since the devotee is always engaged in the topics of the Lord, they're forgetful of the miseries of material existence. They're beyond that. Our Guru said they're playing the pastime of being killed. Ta ete sadhavah sadvi sarva sangha vivarjitaha sangasteshvatate prartya sangha dosha harahite. O my mother, O virtuous lady, these are the qualities of great devotees. Again, he is sadhava, is sadhu, of in plurality, who are free from all attachment. You must seek attachment to such holy men. For this counteracts the pernicious effects of material attachment. Here, in commentary, Kapil Muni herein advises his mother Devahuti that if she wants to be free from material attachment, she should increase her attachment for these sadhus, or devotees, who are completely freed from all material attachment. That will be more practical, our Gurudev told. That is why Kapil Bhagavan told here, than to Diti, because Diti is not speaking to us in our present stage. He's speaking with those who are liberated souls, but not with us. So it is difficult to become attached to him. But sadhus are speaking and moving, and also we can get attachment to them, and that attachment will open us the door to devotion to Krishna, and by devotion then we can also speak with Krishna. Then tomorrow we will hear this verse, which is very famous. Everyone is speaking this verse. We'll hear tomorrow.